The Earth was no longer the blue jewel it once was. The sky hung heavy with soot and stormclouds, its atmosphere poisoned by centuries of war. Cities lay in ruin, consumed by rust, sand, and silence. Where once humanity thrived, now only fragments remain, scattered pockets of survivors clinging to existence beneath the skeletons of civilization. Among the rubble, buried deep beneath what was once Detroit, something ancient stirred. A low-frequency hum echoed through the dark chambers of a crumbling arcology. Deep below the ground, partially entombed in metal and memory, stood the last prime, Optimus. His once brilliant red and blue armor had long since faded into dull steel. Scars of war etched every inch of his frame, some welded crudely shut, others left to weep slow trails of energon. One optic flickered intermittently. His right arm bore the blackened mark of a Decepticon warblade. He had become more than a leader, he was a relic, worn, wounded, but unyielding. A holographic display flickered to life before him, its signal barely holding. Dim pulses indicated remaining Autobot life signs scattered across the planet, faint and fractured. But one beacon shone brighter than the rest. Bumblebee, Optimus's voice rasped through a failing vocoder, heavy with emotion and fatigue. Suddenly, a distorted transmission crackled through his comms. Optimus, this is Wheeljack. We found it. The Obsidian Core. It's real. A pause. But they're already there. Optimus froze. The Obsidian Core. A relic from the deepest myths of Cybertron, older than the Primes, older than the Matrix itself. A concentrated source of pre-spark energy, said to contain the power to reignite the Allspark, or destroy it. It had been dismissed as legend, a Cybertronian fairy tale. But if it had been found, and worse if it had been found by him, Nemesis Prime. Even the thought of the name twisted something cold into Optimus's spark. Once, there had been Megatron. But what rose from Megatron's shattered corpse was something darker, a fusion of Decepticon hatred, quintessence science, and a corrupted echo of Optimus himself. Nemesis Prime was not merely a clone. He was a twisted mirror. A perfect predator. He wanted no conquest, only erasure. The extermination of all Cybertronian life, so that none would rise after him. Optimus closed his optics for a long moment, then opened a secure comm frequency, ancient, encrypted, known only to those who once carried the Autobot seal. To all surviving Autobots and Resistance allies, this is Optimus Prime. His voice, low but firm, carried the gravity of a dying age. If you can hear this, you are the Resistance now. Our enemy seeks the Obsidian Core. We stop him here, or there will be no more tomorrows. The signal echoed into silence. In a forgotten satellite command center buried beneath ice and debris, the remaining Autobots gathered. The War Council was not what it once was. No armies, no fleets, no grand command structure. Only survivors. Wheeljack stood with burn marks across his chassis, a datapad flickering in one hand. Archie leaned against a steel column, her optics scanning every shadow. Springer sat sharpening the blade of his battered arm sword, the last of the wreckers. And at their center, battered but unbroken, was Bumblebee. Optimus entered, and every spark in the room seemed to pause. Wheeljack pointed to a holographic projection of the Arctic, where the Obsidian Core now pulsed with corrupted energy. Nemesis is feeding the core using a planetary rift generator. He's overclocking the magnetic field through the polar crust. If he completes the fusion ritual with the core, he could collapse the Earth's field in minutes. Can't we just blow the damn thing up? Asked Bumblebee, his voice rough and glitching. It's shielded, Archie answered flatly. Nothing short of a matrix overload could touch it. All optics turned toward Optimus. Wheeljack hesitated, then said what they were all thinking. If you activate your matrix near the core, it might neutralize the energy field. But it would also kill you, Archie said, her voice cold and steady. Optimus looked down at his chest plate. Beneath his worn armor, the matrix of leadership pulsed like the final heartbeat of an old god. I have made peace with that. No, Bumblebee said, stepping forward. You don't get to decide that alone. We're all that's left. If you go, there's nothing left to hold this together. Optimus turned to him, laying a heavy hand on Bee's shoulder. You, Bumblebee, are what's left. And what must continue. The silence that followed felt like the end of an era. The Arctic wind screamed across a broken landscape of ancient ice and twisted metal. Deep within the glacial crater, the corrupted energy of the Obsidian Core surged upward into the clouds, painting the sky in sickly violet spirals. The Autobots descended in a stolen Decepticon dropship. The plan was desperate, but it was all they had. Nemesis Prime awaited them atop the frozen platform where the core floated, surrounded by spinning glyphs and streams of dark plasma. He was monstrous. Nearly twice the size of Optimus, armored in blackened steel, crowned in a twisted imitation of the Matrix. His optics burned violet. When Optimus emerged from the ship, Nemesis turned slowly. So the puppet comes to cut his own strings. Your war ends here, Optimus answered. Nemesis tilted his head, smiling with mockery. Your ideals are dust. Your allies are broken. The Matrix is obsolete. Optimus summoned his axe. Then let's see if you bleed like a prime. The two titans clashed. Ice shattered beneath them as their weapons screamed against each other. Every blow sent tremors through the ground. Meanwhile, the rest of the Autobots engaged corrupted drones and war machines, fighting with everything they had left. Springer was overwhelmed but held the line. Archie tore through enemies with savage precision. Wheeljack planted a series of explosives to disable the core's shielding, and Bumblebee danced through the chaos, his twin stingers striking with deadly rhythm. But time was running out. The core was nearing activation. Its energy flares grew erratic, pulsing harder with every second. Optimus, bloodied and staggering, looked to Wheeljack across the field. Now! Wheeljack shouted, "If you're gonna do it, Prime, do it now. We're out of time." Optimus turned toward the core, removing the matrix from his chest. The energy flared. Light filled the battlefield. Nemesis stumbled backward, covering his optics. The Autobots froze. Optimus's voice rang out, carried on the wind like thunder. "Till all are one." And then everything became light. The light of the Matrix had torn through the Arctic sky like a sword drawn by a god. For a single, breathless moment, time itself seemed to freeze. Snowflakes hung suspended in midair. Energy stilled. Even Nemesis Prime, for all his power, stood paralyzed at the center of the vortex. Then came the collapse. A shockwave of radiant force exploded outward, flattening corrupted constructs and tearing trenches through the glacier. The core screamed a deep, otherworldly pulse of ancient intelligence resisting death. Its containment ring shattered, lifts breaking apart like splintered glass. But it did not die. Optimus Prime, his body flickering with crackling energy, still stood barely. The Matrix, dimmed and trembling, remained in his hands. The light was fading. The core, though destabilized, had endured. And the enemy was changing. Nemesis rose slowly from the chaos, his frame charred but not broken. Where the Matrix had scorched him, new armor was already forming, black and red plates layered with living circuitry drawn from the core itself. His optics no longer glowed crimson. They burned with a deep violet flame. He spoke, his voice distorted, deeper than before, no longer just synthetic, but something ancient. "Something wrong. You thought that would stop me," he growled. "You thought your light could snuff out the dark?" The obsidian core cracked wider behind him, its singularity exposed. Ribbons of corrupted matter swirled into Nemesis, and the transformation was complete. The spines along his back expanded like a crown. His limbs thickened with armor that pulsed like it was alive. He was no longer merely a Prime clone. He was something worse. Nemesis ascended. Wheeljack's voice cut through the static, shouting from cover as the snow whipped around him. "Prime, you destabilized the core, but it's not collapsing. We've got to get out of here and rethink this." Optimus barely moved. His legs faltered, and the Matrix slipped from his grasp. He staggered back toward the others as Nemesis raised his corrupted blade once again. Bumblebee was the first to reach him, catching the falling Prime with a grunt. "I've got you," he said through gritted vocal processors. "We're not done yet." Wheeljack deployed smoke charges to block Nemesis's line of sight, and Archie moved in with precise cover fire, striking weak points and dropping drones that tried to flank them. Springer called in the dropship damaged, barely flying, but it was enough. The Autobots launched themselves aboard under fire, the last one in being Wheeljack as a beam of dark matter scorched the deck behind him. They barely escaped. Inside the ship, Optimus collapsed onto one knee. Sparks hissed from open wounds across his chassis. The Matrix rested between his hands like a dying ember. Wheeljack leaned in, scanning it with trembling sensors. It should have worked. On Luna X, when we used the Matrix against the Omega Gate, it overloaded everything. Optimus's voice was low, nearly inaudible. This core is different. It doesn't fear light. It feeds on the spark of conflict. The more we fight, the more it grows. Archie looked at him sharply. Then Nemesis doesn't want to destroy it. He wants to merge with it, or become what's inside it, Wheeljack added. They stared at each other in silence. Later, in the frozen depths of their outpost, Wheeljack and Bumblebee studied old Iaconian fragments recovered from Cybertron's deep vaults. Holograms flickered, distorted by damage and age, but the message was clear: the obsidian core wasn't just a relic. It wasn't even Cybertronian in origin. It was a failsafe, created by the World Forger's Titans predating the Primes themselves. Their network had stretched across galaxies, regulating creation and transformation. The core was not meant to empower. It was meant to erase. Bumblebee stared at the data. "So if Nemesis fully fuses with the core, he could rewrite reality itself," Wheeljack said grimly. "Erase Autobot, Decepticon, Spark, and Frame. All of it." Archie leaned in. Optimus stopped him once. We stop him again. But Optimus had already made his choice. He emerged from the CR chamber slower than before, but steady. He stood before them and spoke with clarity. "I will face Nemesis alone." "No," Archie snapped. "That's suicide. You're not strong enough anymore," Bumblebee added. Not alone. I'm not trying to win, Optimus said. I'm trying to give you time. I will carry the core's attention. You will finish the mission. He turned to Bumblebee, and without ceremony, removed the matrix from his own chest. Its light was faint, but undeniable. I cannot carry it any longer. But you can. B took a step back. I'm not a prime. You don't have to be, Optimus replied. You have the spark. You always did. He placed the matrix into Bumblebee's chest. The resonance was instant. The matrix accepted him not as a leader of armies, but as a symbol of survival. Prepare the stealth ship, Optimus said. I leave before sunrise. High above them, Nemesis Prime sat upon his throne formed from metal grown directly from the core. He no longer saw with eyes, but with the core's vision. He watched energy patterns shift across the planet. Every surviving Autobot, every frequency, every heartbeat. He saw Optimus approaching, and he smiled. Let him come. Let the last ghost of hope walk willingly into oblivion. He stood, the throne folding in on itself behind him. The air around him shimmered with impossible gravity. I will crush him. And then, I will silence the stars. A final dawn broke over the Arctic Circle, but the light that filtered through the sky was not the sun. It was a sickly radiance, pulsing from the heart of the throne of Nemesis Prime. The obsidian core hovered above that corrupted altar, spinning faster now, its shape warping, its gravitational pull distorting the air like ripples across time itself. Optimus Prime approached through the ice fields alone. The stealth ship had landed miles away to avoid detection, and the journey on foot had taken its toll. His metal frame groaned under the cold and the damage of past battles. Stripped of the matrix, he had nothing left to shield him but his own will. But still, he walked one step at a time toward the throne where his darker self waited. He climbed the jagged stairs of blackened steel and ancient corruption, reaching the summit with no fanfare, no welcome, only the wind. And the enemy. Nemesis Prime emerged from the shadows, wreathed in violet flame. His frame had grown since their last encounter, reinforced, monstrous, divine in shape. His face was still a mockery of Optimus's own, but now there was no illusion of kinship left, only hatred, sharpened by cosmic power. You came, Nemesis said. His voice was layered, now multiple voices speaking in unison. Even after the Matrix failed you, you persist. Optimus's words were slow, steady. I came to end this. You can't end what I've become, Nemesis said. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the final evolution of the Prime. I am the silence at the end of your story. You're not a Prime, Optimus said, stepping forward. You're a shadow. And I do not fear shadows. Nemesis lunged. They collided with the force of falling stars. The platform shook as titans clashed above the frozen world. Optimus fought not with speed, nor strength those had long left him, but with precision, experience, and sheer will. Every strike he landed was deliberate, every blow he absorbed, calculated. Nemesis roared with rage, each attack laced with core-born power that shattered stone and cracked steel. But he could not break Optimus. Not yet. Not completely. Far in the distance, another ship descended quietly, carefully. Inside it were Bumblebee, Archie, Wheeljack, and what was left of Hope. Bumblebee stood before the others, the Matrix now embedded in his chest. It pulsed stronger than before, drawn to the core like a magnet sensing its counterpart, its opposite. The two forces had been divided since time immemorial. Now, they were destined to collide. We won't get another shot, Bumblebee said. We drop in, amplify the signal, and overload the core before Nemesis fuses with it completely. Wheeljack adjusted the harmonic transceiver clamp to Bumblebee's back. It's all rigged. You just need to get close and trigger the override. But if you get caught in the field, I know, Bumblebee said. Just get us there. Back on the throne platform, Optimus had been driven to one knee. His armor smoked and hissed. One of his optics was shattered, and energon leaked freely from his side. Nemesis towered over him, blade raised, glowing with unstable power. You're finished, Nemesis growled. Optimus looked up at him, one final time. Then why, do you still fear me? Before the blade could fall, a new light descended from the sky, bright, clean, defiant. Bumblebee struck the platform like a meteor, his stingers glowing with matrix-infused energy. The shockwave blasted Nemesis back. The core reeled, its spin disrupted. For the first time, it shuddered in resistance. V moved fast, reaching Optimus, helping him stand. You didn't think I'd let you finish this alone, did you? Optimus nodded weakly. Thank you, old friend. The two turned to face Nemesis together. Till all are one, Bumblebee said. And then he ran. Straight into the core. Wheeljack's device began to pulse, synchronized with the Matrix. The resonance frequency screamed to life an ancient song that echoed across the battlefield. The obsidian core resisted at first, its singularity buckling, warping, screaming in pain. But the Matrix pushed harder. Nemesis let out a roar of pure fury and surged toward Bumblebee, blade in hand. Optimus moved with everything he had left, intercepting Nemesis mid-charge. Their bodies collided, and they tumbled into the heart of the field. "You will not take him," Optimus growled. "You will not stop me," Nemesis howled. "I am destiny." "You are a mistake," Optimus said. Then, with one final burst of strength, he activated the Matrix's feedback loop remotely, triggering a chain reaction inside the core. There was no explosion. There was collapse. A sudden, silent implosion, as if the universe inhaled all at once. The core folded in on itself, dragging Nemesis, Optimus, and everything at its center into nothingness. And then peace. The throne shattered. The ice quieted. The storm broke. The war was over. In the weeks that followed, the Earth began to heal. The auroras vanished. The corrupted storms dissipated. All across the planet, Decepticon war machines powered down and collapsed like broken puppets. The world was silent again, not in defeat, but in relief. At the rebuilt ruins of the Ark, a monument was raised. Simple. Silent. A statue of Optimus Prime carved from Starship alloy, looking toward the stars. At his feet, the phrase he spoke in his final moment, "Till all are one." Bumblebee stood before the monument, the Matrix no longer glowing, but still present within him. Its purpose now was symbolic, a reminder, not a weapon. Arky stepped beside him. "He gave everything," she said quietly. Bumblebee nodded. "So we'd have something left to build." Wheeljack approached, holding a spark crystal salvaged from the collapsed site. It pulsed faintly. He took it in his hands, reverent. "His core. A piece of him remains. We'll keep it burning," he said. In Autobot City, reborn from the ruins, a gathering was held. Not just Autobots. Ex-Decepticons. Humans. Neutrals. Survivors. They came not to mourn, but to witness something new. Standing atop the central platform was Bumblebee. No longer the scout. No longer the kid behind the mask. A leader. He wore no crown, no title. Only the weight of legacy. Optimus Prime believed in a future beyond war, he said. He believed we could become more than soldiers, more than machines. He believed we could choose peace. He placed a hand over his chest, where the Matrix once glowed. And I believe him. Around him, sparks shimmered with hope. The crowd bowed their heads. Above them, in the cold silence of space, something flickered. A blue light. A watching spark. The echo of a promise. And a voice far beyond hearing, yet still felt, "Till all are one."